Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today we are officially on BfA pre-patch 8.0, and I'm going to take you guys through my Arcane Mage spec today to tell you guys kind of how I've been playing and then take you through some gameplay with Arcane. So you guys can maybe try to play the spec that I'm playing, or maybe there's another spec that you found that is working even better for you. But this is what I've been playing. I've been playing Arcane Familiar for the 10% increased mana. The damage is very small, but the extra mana definitely helps because mana regen is very high. So if you can have an extra 10%, you're going to be able to actually spell steal a little bit more or spam mana shield a little bit more, which we'll talk about in a second. But that extra mana definitely helps quite a bit. Whereas Amplification, getting that one extra missile, and Rule of Threes just doesn't seem to save me as much mana as Arcane Familiar would anyway. Don't really seem to be worth it in the spec that I'm running with. And it's going to make more sense as I go a little bit further in this video. But we are also running with Mana Shield as well. And that might come as a surprise to some of you guys. And I don't know if this talent is bugged, if it's tuned incorrectly. But regardless, if you use Mana Shield, guys, it is a 6,748 absorb, and I'll show you in some gameplay coming up here soon, but you can pretty much just spam it over and over and over and over with no cooldown, which makes you pretty much invincible in a 1v1 situation, in a 1v2 situation, which we'll get to in a second, in some world PvP, in a 2v2 with Rogue Mage. When you don't have a healer around, Mana Shield on no cooldown, being able to spam it is insanely good. However, it's going to be a lot harder to get a polymorph or to get your mobility with Shimmer if you don't have it, right? It's going to be very difficult to do that burst damage. It's going to be very difficult to actually end the CC. So in a spec like this, it's more about survival. This might be a better dueling spec. It could still be used in threes if you're playing with something with high sustained damage, and then just getting CC in general helps. So something like a Feral Druid or an Assassination Rogue, maybe even an Arms Warrior paired with this spec might work very well, and you just spam Spell Steal. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I guess, is that you can spam Spell Steal. So Spell Steal is 1,386 mana. I'm at 100% mana currently, but if I change this to numeric value, I have 25,000 mana, as you can see here. So you can spam Spell Steal, math is hard, about 20 plus times before you're out of mana. Okay, plus, that's if you had 0 mana regen, which you don't. Mana regen is actually very high as well. So you can spam Spell Steal almost infinitely and clean the enemy target. This is only for Arcane, okay? This is not for Frost, this is not for Fire. It's a perk of playing Arcane, so you can spam Spell Steal. So, we're Arcane Familiar, increase your mana. We're Mana Shield. Your mana is being drained instead of the Prismatic Barrier. But like we just talked about, we have a lot of mana, and it's being drained very slowly, and the regen's very high. Once again, I don't know if this is a bug, if it's tuned incorrectly, but as I show you here in a second, it makes it so you're pretty much invincible. So if this gets nerfed, we would obviously just go with Shimmer instead. Now for this third row, Incanter's Flow, just always the pick here. Mirrors, you can't control them, they break CC. It's very difficult to actually get value out of them. Maybe if you're in a 1v1 or 1v2 situation, Mirror Images can be used instead of Incanters, but in any type of arena situation, Incanter's Flow is much better. And then Arena Power, you just need more mobility than that. Resonance is only 10% increased damage per target it hits. I think on Legion it was 25%, 20%, 25%, so it was much higher. 10% doesn't really seem like it's worth it. So I have just been going with Charged Up to cycle through my Arcane charges to get that big Arcane barrage out, and then to just re-up on 4 Arcane charges back and forth, right? That's what cycling means here. But you could also maybe play with Supernova if you want to be a little bit more disruptive, right? Someone's casting a Chaos Bolt with Spell Reflect, boom, you knock them up and it just stops it. It's like a Wind Shear, it's like a kick. And then also it does a decent amount of damage. So I could see Supernova also being pretty decent here as well instead of cycling through your Arcane charges. So kind of either or here. Chrono Shift for that insane increased mobility, slowing enemies down. It's a physical slow, you can't dispel it. Just so good here. I would maybe play Ring of Frost if you're queuing RMP, and I don't think Ice Ward quite has the value it needs to compete with Chrono or Ring. So for this 90 row, I haven't played Nether Tempest. It's not very good, but here's why. When a rogue is trying to re-stealth, you can throw the Nether Tempest up, right? Same thing with a Feral or any type of stealth class. It also adds some type of consistency for your class. It just has a little bit of rot damage, It does almost no damage though, so you might be like, okay, well, what's Reverberate? Reverberate, Arcane Explosion hits at least 3 targets, has a 40% chance to generate an extra charge. So in 3v3, this could be a pick instead of Nether Tempest, realistically. You could play it, or in RBGs, it could definitely be a realistic spec. But in 2v2, no value. 1v1, no value. So a lot of the times Reverberate is just getting no value. And then Touch the Magi, Arcane Blast has a 10% chance to apply Touch the Magi, increasing 15% damage you deal to the target for 8 seconds, then exploding for that amount to the target nearby enemy. So the reason I don't like this is because it's AoE, and it could break a blind, it could break a polymorph. So in an arena situation, you would never want this, because it would absolutely destroy your CC chains, unless you're doing a no polymorph strat and you're just trying to rot everything. Then I could see Touch the Magi actually being worth it here. So all 3 of these have merit depending on what you want to do. I was going with Nether Tempest because I was doing a lot of 1v1s, 1v2s, keeps the enemies from re-stealthing, adds a little bit of consistency, whereas Touch of the Magi wasn't quite doing that for me, and Reverberate was getting literally 0 value because it needs at least 3 targets. Now for this last row, I'm not quite sure on what's going to be played yet. I've been messing around with Overpowered. It does a lot of burst, but then when you don't have your burst up, it's no value at all. Time Anomaly, giving you Arcane Power, Evocation, or Arcane Charges for one of the 3. At any moment, it can give you one of the 3, which seems very good. But let me just explain. So if you get the Arcane Power for the proc, you get it for 8 seconds. If you're running during that 8 seconds, if you're not bursting during that 8 seconds, if you're casting a polymorph during that 8 seconds, if you're doing anything during that 8 seconds, then it's wasted, right? So a lot of the times, if you get Arcane Power, it's going to be wasted. If you get an Evocation, that's actually pretty good, because mana could be a thing, especially when you're playing with Mana Shield. So the Evocation one isn't terrible. However, Arcane Mages have incredibly high mana regeneration anyways, so it's not like you're completely running on empty, plus you still have Evocation on that 1.5 minute cooldown if you need it. So the Evocation's nice, but not needed. The Arcane Power is kind of okay sometimes, but very unreliable. And then the 4 Arcane Charges, the way that Arcane plays now is that you're staying at 4 Arcane Charges much longer, and then whenever you go down to 0, you're instantly re-upping with Charge Up or Arcane Orb, which I'll talk about here in a second, to instantly get back to 4 charges. So it's like any of the 3 are either not good, like the Arcane Charge is almost never going to give you value, the Evo is maybe sometimes going to help a little bit, and the Arcane Power is almost never going to give you value. So it's like, it's a talent that seems very cool, but when you really break it down, it's just like, well, I'm not too excited for any of those things really to happen. However, could still see it played in like a 3v3 situation if you're playing double caster and you're just kind of sitting back and you just want to just gain little bits and pieces here and there, but not really the greatest talent, I think, but we'll have to see how it kind of unfolds. Arcane Orb, however, lets you cycle through the stacks much quicker. It does a good amount of damage. It does, I think, similar damage to like an Arcane Blast, and it's instant, and it goes through everybody. Gives you procs. It's 20-second cooldown. Gives you a ton of charges as well. 1 Arcane Charge plus every time it deals damage, it gives you another Arcane Charge. So you can just throw it through 3-4 people and get full stacks, and then cycle through with a barrage, and then charged up, cycle through another barrage, right? So you're cycling very quick here with these 2 abilities in unison. And this is the spec that I found most effective because it gives you some type of consistency as well, especially when you pair it with Nether Tempest. So boom, boom, boom. Yeah, seems pretty good there. So let's hop into some gameplay where I guess before we hop into some gameplay, let's talk about PvP talents. These are the ones I've just locked in, haven't changed. Trinket with mages, so good. You can Trinket Counterspell, Trinket Temp Shield, Trinket Invis. You pair it with so many things and you get value out of this so often that I would never really play with Relentless or Adaptation here. With the Mass Invisibility, it's just so good to cast with a Polymorph. So good to just, if your teammate's blinded, you don't want them to get sapped, for that blind sap combo, throughout that Mass Invis, stops that. Mass Invis, just so many insane uses. I couldn't really see myself playing Arcane without it. Temp Shield, same type of thing here. Gives you such an amazing off-global cooldown, defensive cooldown on a 45-second cooldown there. It's just so incredible. It's very, very difficult to play with it without it. And this is the last one that I could see switching around. So Master of Escape reduces the cooldown of Greater Invis, which is also a wall. Right here, 60% damage reduction. So it's pretty nice to have it actually reduce the cooldown of, so you can just basically have another wall. You're literally invincible. But I could see you playing Prismatic Cloak against something with double caster, or Dampen Magic here if it's against a Shadow Priest Affliction Warlock. I could see you playing maybe Torment the Weak if you're really just playing a strategy where you're not wanting people to hit you and you're kiting very hard. Or the Arcane Empowerment could be okay if you're playing something more like an amplification build. So we're gonna have to see kind of how that works out as well. But I've pretty much been playing Master of Escape for just a general use. And yeah, that's the spec. So let's hop into some gameplay now of Arcane Mage. Alright guys, here's a game of Arcane Mage against a Discipline Priest and a Ret Paladin. I'm playing Sub-Rogue and Arcane Mage with the spec that I just talked about. And as you can see, I'm running it very aggressive, right? I'm spamming Spell Steal, get all the enemy buffs like I talked about, and I'm still 95% mana. Like I said, you can spam Spell Steal a lot, and it's not really going to hurt you. I can also spam that Mana Shield or Prismatic Barrier with no cooldown and keep myself topped off. The Cheap Shot comes out, Full Sheep comes out on the Pally, on the Priest, and we're on the Paladin. Now I'm popping my one-shot, we're getting a ton of damage out, and the Pally is forced to bubble. Gonna throw some more CC onto the Priest as my Rogue goes for a reset here. Throw out that Mass Invisibility like I just talked about, and have that Temp Shield if I want. I have the Spell Steals if I want. I have the Prismatic Barrier if I want, so I'm very tanky, right? They got me down to about 27% life. Temp proc me back up to 66. Throwing out Spell Steals. I can, by the way, when I'm not running Shimmer, you can blink stuns, which is another very nice perk about this spec. I have that blink to get out of that Hammer of Justice. Just blink the Hammer of Justice. Spell Steal that freedom. There's the full blind. Throwing out some Arcane Blasts for the consistent damage here. 4 Arcane Blasts later. Pally's getting very low. The Barrage lands and he does go down. So it has big burst with the Arcane Power Presence of Mind. It has the consistency with just the Arcane Blast spam. If you're getting low on mana, you can throw that Evocate. You can pretty much never die because you're spamming the Mana Shields. Once again, we didn't have a healer this game, and I was just doing so much with those absorbs. That's what's kind of nice about this spec, right? You feel very stable. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just going to die randomly. I can actually hold my own in these games instead of just randomly flopping. So the spec feels very nice. Here's the damage breakdown, but what I want you to notice is my healing done absorbs count as healing, 44,000 healing done. I always want to say 44 million, but we got scaled back, so 44,000 healing done. Priest at 65,000, right? That's a lot of healing done just from spamming those Mana Shields. Let's hop into another match. Alright guys, in this match I'm going to be playing, I'm actually Overpowered here in this match. This might have been a little bit earlier in the night instead of Arcane Orb. I was kind of testing Overpowered versus Arcane Orb. I think I like Arcane Orb better. But just to let you know, that's why I'm playing Overpowered. It's not because I'm switching up the talents here. But this is a 1v2, right? My Rogue is actually just going to sit in stealth, and I'm going to do my best to actually try to 1v2 the enemies. Right in the opener there, guys, you're probably like, how is he 34% life? That's a lot of burst. I can break it down for you. Mass Invisibility, Arcane Power, casting an Arcane Blast, hard cast, because it's not going to break me out of that cast. The cast isn't going to break me out of stealth, rather, because you can get that one free cast out, and then Palm double Arcane Blast is how we're going to do the damage. Palm double Arcane Blast, and then we can even Arcane Barrage if we wanted here. That's why Orb would be nice, because then we could Barrage Orb, and then wait a second, and then Barrage again, something like that. But Hunter's just going to line of sight, so instead of chasing him, we're going to keep that Nether Tempest up, start doing damage onto the Warrior as well, building up some damage. And that's what's kind of nice about Nether Tempest, especially in that 1v2 situation, is that you can have it out and it's doing damage as you're spamming Mana Shield. So look at me here. They just popped everything on me. I did a couple Mana Shields and I sustained myself and then threw out that Ice Block. Now I throw the Nether Tempest onto the Hunter. Hunter's running behind the pillar, 45% life, trying to keep the slows onto the Warrior as much as I can. That's why Charged Up is so nice, right? I got that damage out, recharged up. Cycling through that, which is very, very nice. Throwing out that Mana Shield spam once again. Nova the Warrior in place. Hunter's getting very low. I have cooldowns up in 35 seconds here with that Arcane Power. Presence of Mind up available in about 9 though. When Hunter pushes on, I could probably just Presence of Mind double blast him. They're both kind of on the run. It's very difficult for them to actually break through this shield, right? The pet's doing a decent job, but now they're both at 28% life, and that's that Nether Tempest just slowly doing work. It's not doing a ton of damage. Like, it's ticking for 70, 80, 100, but it ticks frequently, and it does something. Throw that double blast onto the Warrior. Warrior goes down. Now it's just me versus the Hunter. And once again, guys, I'm playing very passively, right? You have big burst in the opener. You have big burst every minute and a half, but other than that, you're playing very passively. Spell stealing when you need to, slowing when you need to, Nether Tempesting when you need to, spamming that Mana Shield, staying back, blinking if you get stunned. But look at that. Healing done, 70,000 healing done. Only a little bit less than the damage that I did, okay? That's a lot of healing done, and all of that's just from the absorbs. And then the damage is very, very, very high as well from that burst and then just from that little bit of consistent pressure. So Arcane's looking pretty darn cool. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you did not enjoy the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs down. Talk to me in the comments about what you guys want to see next time in 8.0. Tons of cool stuff in the pre-patch to check out. Definitely want to check out my rogue still, my priest still, but had to jump on the mage first, of course. I really hope you guys enjoyed this guide for the pre-patch, and just you can start jumping into your own gameplay as well. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next upload. Peace!